You are watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin, sitting here with Suzanne Crettol. She is the president of Seasoned Executive Coach, and I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome back to America Trends. You've been on this set before.
I have. It's great to be back. Thanks
Great to have
me.
you. And so you are a consultant and you connect individuals who are looking for jobs. Highly seasoned. That's where the seasoned come from, seasoned executive. And upper level, would you say C-suite do you stick with or?
No, I do anywhere from director to C-suite for the most part.
Okay.
I will do a lower level job for somebody I really like.
Okay, perfect. That was towards you, Jason. I'm just kidding. He's looking for a new job. So you connect the talented candidates and you also have relationships with businesses, right? That you have gathered over the years with doing what you're doing. And when did you go on your own?
Oh gosh, I think I'm almost on 5 years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's kind of crazy to think about that. Yeah, I took the leap 5 years ago because I realized that I could do this for myself and I wanted to change it up a little bit and focus more on data-driven things. And
so do certain HR departments of different, you work with HR departments and also individuals?
So it's interesting.
Okay.
I only work with companies hire me because I'm expensive, right? A candidate wouldn't be able to pay the fees that I charge in order to get placement. There are companies that do that, but I prefer to do this route.
Yeah.
So I actually changed my business model a little bit this year because of COVID.
Yeah.
It just was insane. It was kind of crazy. So it's like everybody decided to hire all at once and they had a ton of open recs to fill. People were coming in, taking jobs, and then a few weeks later, or even before they started, they would say, sorry, I took another job.
They're leaving.
It was just insane.
Because we kept hearing the term Great Resignation, where a lot of people were thinking, I'm not so happy anymore and I'm out. Or whatever the reasons were. I mean, I don't even know all the reasons people were shifting jobs.
That's the majority. I mean, people were just, COVID made everybody realize what was important to them, right? Definitely more about family and life experiences, work-life balance. That came into play a lot during COVID. There were just so many issues with childcare. Preschools weren't even open. How were you supposed to do that? It was insane. And then people getting back into work after the big main difficulty of COVID, there weren't any room in preschools either.
Oh.
Yeah. So people were really navigating that. And how you, as a manager, navigated that with your employees had a direct relation to whether or not you could keep them or whether or not you could hire.
Because they wanted the flexibility still. They wanted to be able to work from home. I mean, once people learned that was an option and they saw how seamlessly they could still continue to have Zoom meetings or whatever and do what they needed to do from home, but then be able to take care of a sick kid or drive them to where they could, it probably made, I think it's making going back to the office a lot more difficult, right, now?
Way more difficult.
Yeah.
In fact, Elon Musk was in the news recently for his bold statement that if people don't come into work, they just, they can find another job kind of thing. I don't remember his exact verbiage, but I actually posted that on LinkedIn because I was so irritated by that arrogant statement. And I
called him that word a few weeks ago. I think I may have put those two words in the same sentence.
I may have been a little bolder, but I'll keep it cleaner here. But what I said was, it wasn't so much I understand wanting key executives in the office. I get how that works, right? But at the same time, it's the way he said it that was just so disruptive.
Yeah.
And somebody mentioned
that's his MO.
It is his MO, and I get that, but it's not going to carry him forever.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
Nobody stays at the top forever.
So I wanted to ask you a couple things that I had in looking at the things you talk to your clients about too. One is having a realistic approach to looking for a job. And I thought that was an interesting, being realistic. So what do you mean by that?
Well, when I talk to candidates, I do a couple things. I have them take me through their work history, and then I ask them about their career objectives. And then finally, I go to compensation expectations. Okay. And I may take something from each one of those things to give them my perspective and my years of experience working in this area, and try and make them think a little bit differently about their approach so that they can ultimately get what they want. Perfect example today, I was talking to somebody and I'm hiring for a SaaS company right now, so it was an e-commerce SaaS. And so he starts telling me he really wants to work for a brand because he ultimately wants to start his own company someday.
Okay.
And I said, well, why don't you do it now? So I sent him a website for a company that it's a volunteer group that actually helps digitally native brands get to larger scale. And it's a bunch of volunteers from large consumer goods companies that come together and provide insight and share knowledge.
Oh, wow.
And so I said, what are you waiting for? You don't have to start your own brand. You can participate today.
Yeah.
So he was really excited about it. So that's what I do, because sometimes people forget that they have the ability to do that before they actually take the plunge into something else.
Yep. Well, that's good to have them set their expectations and think differently. Like you just said, a lot of people get stuck in one way thinking and then think, oh, yeah, maybe I can think that way.
Well, I had somebody else who said that she really wanted to work in HR and train people. And I said, well, why can't you do it right now? And she was she just stopped. And she's like, well, I didn't think about that. I go, I'm
resources
sure.
and you can reach people now digitally.
In your own job. You can even do it currently in your own job. There's got to be someone that needs help from you somewhere that doesn't know how to do something. Lend a hand.
Yeah.
You can incorporate a lot of things you really enjoy into your current role without taking a huge leap into a different direction that may not have the perfect set for your skill sets.
Yeah. Now, what about counter offers? And I see a note that says why you shouldn't necessarily take them.
Yeah.
So tell me what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah. So counter offers have been a real problem in the last year and a half. I think it's going to start getting better. Things are shifting a little bit now. There aren't going to be as many job openings. There's a little more layoffs happening across the board. But what happens with counters is, let's say you and I talk, I bring you a job, and you're like really excited about it. You end up going through the process and you sign the paperwork. Well, now you have to do the very difficult task of telling your current boss that you're leaving, right? And the immediate reaction that a boss has, which is completely understandable, is, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I can't find candidates. It's too hard to hire right now for the open roles I have. How am I going to fill this one too? So my immediate reaction is, I'm going to throw money at the problem.
Every time that happens, right? I mean, not every time.
Yeah, right now it's very common.
Some people do that hoping that will happen.
Correct.
Right? A little weasel maneuver there.
Little weasel maneuver. And then, but in retrospect, I mean, what happens is you really just, you can accept, but more than likely you won't be there 6 months later. The reason is the employer knows that you are willing to leave.
Right.
And so they're already thinking about how to replace you.
And once you're 1 foot out the door, it's really hard to go back, right? I mean, same with relationships. I think before the break we were talking about that, like, don't go back. Once you've made up your mind and you have your sight somewhere.
Yeah, when does it work?
Go into the meeting with your boss knowing what you want to say and knowing that they might counter. So
well, that's why I give them materials and I back it up with actual articles.
Where can people find you? Seasonsearch.com, right?
Yep.
Okay, Suzanne Crettol, president of Season Executive Coach, or Search. Excuse me, not
That's okay.
And everyone at home, thank you so much for tuning into America Trends. We will see you back here tomorrow night.